So Shortcuts is an app that comes with your Mac and it's been around since last year. It allows you to automate tasks. So combine several tasks that you might need to do like launching applications, moving windows around, collecting information. Combine them into one kind of macro or script so that you can easily run that same shortcut over and over again. So it's useful when you have a repetitive task that takes many steps and you want to make that easier on yourself because you do it all the time. And when you run the Shortcuts app, you can go to Gallery here and this will bring up a whole bunch of example shortcuts. And even if you don't get into programming shortcuts on your own, a lot of these examples here can be very useful. So for instance, you've got serious stuff under different categories here. This will automatically split the screen between two apps. This will batch add a bunch of reminders. This will make a GIF from many files. So there's a lot of different things that you can do really quickly. So let's take a look at one of these. Here's one called Sort Lines. So I'm going to double click on this and it goes to a description here and you can see what it does. If you want to actually view what the steps are in this, you can click here. Now this is what a shortcut looks like and we're going to make one of our own in a minute. But you can see here each of these blocks is a separate step and these are all tied in together. So it receives text input. It will split it by lines. It will filter that split text, combine it again with new lines, and the filtering here is when the sorting is going to happen. Then it's going to output that. So we'll take a group of lines and then it will sort it for you. Let's say we find this useful. Let's click Add Shortcut here and I will say Shortcut Added. Now let's go to All Shortcuts and this lists all my shortcuts and I've created a bunch here. You'll see fewer shortcuts if you haven't really used this to create any yet. And there's Sort Lines. So now let's go, I'll just double click on it to enter and you can see all those steps and now I can actually edit them if I want. We're going to leave it as is. We're going to click on the Info area here to get the settings for this. And you can see it uses a quick action and input is provided into it. We're going to look at these here more in a minute. So let's try to use this to sort some lines. So here I have some lines of text. Let me select all of those. And since we set this to use as a quick action, if we control click, right click with the mouse or two finger click with the trackpad and go to Services, we should see it here. And we can see Sort Lines. Let's use it. And we can see it takes that, brings it in to the shortcut, processes it, and then outputs it back to replace what we had selected. And the fact that we're using it in TextEdit is irrelevant. We could be doing it in Pages or in a mail composition window and it would still work. We could go back in here and we can alter this if we want. You can see how it's sort by and we could have it sort random. So we could try that as well. And now if I select all of this and I use the same sort lines, you can see it's going to do it in a random order and each time is going to be a little bit different. Now let's close this and let's go back and create one of our own from scratch. So I'm going to go to File, New Shortcut. And we have no actions added here at all. So to add actions, we go over here to the right and we make sure we have the action library selected. And we can search by categories or by apps. So these will list apps and actions that have to do with individual apps. This will list categories and you could do things like sharing or media related or all. And then you get a huge list of all the different actions. And if you're going to be using shortcuts, you want to take the time to look through all of this. For any one of these, you can click on the information button to the right and it will bring up all of the help. So you have lots of information here to figure out what to do. And you can also search to find something. So let's go and create one. And as an example here, I've got here in the Finder 4 video files. And a task you may need to do with these is to find out the total length of all of these videos. So I could look at each individual one, open it up, and then kind of make a note and add up all those times. But I can create a shortcut to do that. So let's first go to the settings and say what we want to have happen here is we want to use this as a quick action because we want it to act on files. We could actually launch shortcuts many ways. One is inside the Shortcuts app. We also have Pin and Menu Bar, which adds it to this list here. But that doesn't make sense for this because we want to select files first and then feed them into this. So we're going to use as quick action. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set it to receive any input. Not any input. We're going to click on that. And we don't want all of these things to be input. We're going to deselect all and only say we want media files. So video files in other words. So receive media input from quick actions. And then we could select what happens if nothing is provided. So we could stop and respond or ask for files, for instance. We'll just leave it the default there because we'll never make that mistake. Now what we're going to do is go to Actions here, and we want to be able to get the durations of these videos. So if we search for things, like if we search for duration, we don't really come up with anything. So what we want to do is try another tactic. So we can search for image details, get details of images. And if I select that, one of the details I could get is duration. So by images, it means more than that. You can see when I get info on it, its media is also an image type it selects. So get the duration from the shortcut input. Now we want it to actually output it somewhere. I'm going to look for show, and there's show result. So it's going to receive the media input, it's going to get the duration, and it's going to show the output from that. You can see the lines connecting each one of these, telling you that the output from one action goes to the next. Let's name this now. And let's call this get total video duration. Now let's go here to the Finder, and I'm going to select one of these files, Control click on it, and then select Quick Actions. Then go to Quick Actions. I'm going to go to Customize here, and I'm going to make sure that this quick action I created, get total video duration, is included in Quick Actions like that. So now that I've added it, I should be able to see it here, pop up as the first one, but I can also, when I Control click, get Quick Actions, get total video duration. So we'll do this, and we see we get the total time for that one video selected. If we select all of them and Control click and then do the same thing, we're going to get a list of all the times. But what we want is for a total. So we are going to then calculate. So I'm going to search for calc, and we can calculate statistics. I'll put that in there. Calculate the average of the durations coming in. No, let's not do average. Let's do sum. Now we get the sum. Now let's try this. So we run it again, and it adds it all together, and we get an awkward number with a large decimal. Let's go and further refine this. We can round, and I'll search for round. And there's round number. Let's round that to the ones place. So now we'll just get just the number of minutes, not any decimals. And let's then also, instead of just showing the number, let's explain what it is. I'm going to click there, clear that. I'm going to type something. I'm going to say total runtime. And then when I get to that point, I'm going to Control click, insert variable, and select a variable. When you do that, it basically shows you the output from each action. And we can select the one we want, which is this rounded number that comes out of there. Then we'll do a space after that and say minutes, period. Now when we run it, we get some nice looking output that looks like this. So the advantage of this is not to do it once, but if this is a task you need to do all the time to gather together groups of videos and find the total runtime, now I've created a quick and easy way to do that using shortcuts. Let's do another one. Let's say we want to be able to copy something to the clipboard and then add it to a note. Easily add it to a note, whatever is in the clipboard. So let's create a new shortcut here. We'll call this one add clipboard to note. And then we will go and get the info on this, and we'll say pin and menu bar. So we want it to appear here in this menu. And then what we're going to do is we are going to get the clipboard. So I'm going to search for get clipboard. There it is. So get the clipboard. Great. And now what will we do with it? Well, we're going to add it to a note. So let's search for note, or we could, if we want, say apps, and then go to notes and explore and see what's here. Here's append to note. So we'll say append the clipboard to a note. Which note? Well, there's a lot of different notes here. Let's append it to this one here, and let's say we've created a note for this. And here in the Notes app is that test note. So when we run this shortcut, whatever's in the clipboard is going to be appended to this note. And we should see it here. There it is. Add clipboard to note. Let's try it out. So here I am at a website. Let's go and copy something. I'll do Command C to copy, and then I'll do add clipboard to note. And there you can see it added that. Let's go and select something else. Copy, and then add clipboard to note. And now we check in the note again, and there it's added that. So whatever it is that we last copied to the clipboard, it's going to add to this note. To make this a little easier to use, instead of using it here in the pin menu, we could go here to the settings again and say add keyboard shortcut. Control Option Command V as kind of a version of paste, I guess. And then when I use it now, let's copy something else like that. Copy. I'll use that keyboard shortcut. And then I switch to notes, and you can see now it's been pasted in there. So it's a little easier. I could just one keyboard shortcut to copy and another keyboard shortcut to paste into this note. And I'm not even using the Notes app. It's not even the app that's running. So really easy then to keep adding things to a list. So the Shortcuts app is really useful, except that it does require some programming skill. And even if you have some programming skill, it will take a little while to get used to using the actions inside of Shortcuts. So it's not going to be for everybody. If you in the past used Automator, Automator is still there, and you can use Automator just as before. And there's also, of course, Script Editor, which allows you to do AppleScript and JavaScript. And you can actually do those inside of Shortcuts as well. So if I search, for instance, for AppleScript, there's Run AppleScript, there's Run JavaScript. You can do those inside here. You can add these and then use AppleScript in there. So in a lot of ways, Shortcuts really replaces Automator, but not quite yet. There's some things you can do with Automator you can't do with Shortcuts. But for the most part, if you're trying to automate something in macOS Ventura, your first place to go would be Shortcuts, and using Shortcuts from now on to create automations that you can then use. And note that this also syncs with iCloud. So there are a lot of shortcut actions that will work both on the Mac and on the iPhone and also iPad. And they sync with your iCloud account. So for instance, this that we've created here would work perfectly fine on the iPhone. You can copy something. There's the Notes app, and you can append something to a note there. So this one action should appear on your iPhone, and you can use it there as well, even though you built it on the Mac. And you could do vice versa. You could have it built on the iPhone, and if the apps and the actions are compatible with the Mac, then you should be able to run that same shortcut on your Mac as well.